Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Staff Sergeant Christopher Williams from the 6th Air Mobility Wing's Honor Guard. Welcome to the MacDill Air Force Base Gold Star Family event. Today, we are humbled by the presence of all Gold Star families in attendance and are forever in debt to what these families have given to our great nation. As we pay tribute and respect throughout the ceremony, there will be occasions which you will be expected to render specific customs and courtesies. During the playing of our national anthem, military personnel will come to attention and civilians are asked to stand and place their right hand over their heart. At this time, please stand for the presenting of the colors, the playing of the national anthem by Mr. Gavin Della Valle, and the invocation by Chaplain Dobbs.
Color, tank, hut! Forward, arms! Forward, arms! Colors. Halt. Present. Arms. Arms. Colors. Colors turn. Arch.
Please be at ease. Let us pray and reflect together. Heavenly Father, Almighty God, I just thank you for today, a day to remember. I thank you for the gift of life, and I thank you for each of our Gold Star families here. Lord, the cause of liberty is yours. It is likewise the cause of those who have defended it against tyranny and oppression. Today, we remember the veterans who have served in America's armed forces and paid the ultimate price. For each of them, we give you thanks. We are so grateful for each of them and their families. We are so grateful that you inspire their sense of patriotism and strengthen them in their service to our country. Their courage, vigilance, selfless service, and ultimate sacrifice have ensured the freedoms and peace we enjoy today in our America. Lord, please grant each family here a generous portion of your grace, your mercy, and your continued comfort as we remember them. And may you please help us honor each of their memories and remember their excellent service and celebrate their lives. And may you please bless this time together. In your great name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Mr. Gavin Delavalli and Chaplain Dobbs. We would like to take a moment to recognize our distinguished visitors with us today. The 59th Mayor of Tampa, Mayor Jane Castor. The Chief of Staff, United States Central Command, Major General Scott McKean, and his South The Commander, 6th Air Mobility Wing, Colonel Stephen Snelson, and his spouse, Catherine. The Vice Commander, 6th Air Mobility Wing, Colonel Benjamin Robbins. The Command Chief, 6th Air Mobility Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Anthony Green, and his spouse, Sarah. The Director of Communications and External Affairs, Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, Lieutenant Colonel Retired Steve Murray. We would also like to thank all commanders, chiefs, senior enlisted leaders, community leaders, family members, and friends. Thank you for being here. It is my pleasure to introduce the Commander, 6th Air Mobility Wing, Colonel Stephen Snelson.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. What an amazing sight for this really special gathering. You heard the list of all of our distinguished visitors here today. Mayor Castor, my 3 wingmen, my incredible wife Catherine, as well as Chief Green and our Vice Wing Commander, Colonel Ben Robbins. Major General Mrs. McKean, our mission partner, senior enlisted leaders, as well as all the myriad of commanders, chiefs, airmen, friends and families of MacDill, and most of all, our Gold Star family members and their families and friends. And by last count on Friday, I think we had over 130 RSVPs from our Gold Star family members, as well as their friends. And if you're willing, I would ask our Gold Star family members, if you would please just stand and be recognized. It's an understatement to say that we're honored to host this event for the first time ever on MacDill Air Force Base. My family and I, we attended this ceremony last year in the beautiful Tampa Veterans Memorial Park, but as we were driving away and we came through the front gates of this installation, we asked ourselves, why not here? Now I know as we talked with the Gold Star family members today, many of your loved ones, they never served here. Some of them, they may never have even stepped foot on MacDill. But hosting this event, it's more than just the name on the front gate. It's about what we represent and about fulfilling our obligations. You see, this base, we represent the joint warfighters of every branch of service. And our mission, the charge which our nation's leaders have given us, is significant, especially here. One look at the headlines and you can see what we're tasked with to accomplish out around the world. Just since the 1st of August, we've lost 8 service members in the CENTCOM AOR, including 4 members of SOCOM alone. Since the 1st of August, we've added 8 more to the ranks of our Gold Star families. The men and women who serve on this base, our families who stand unfaltering beside us, and the incredible community that welcomes us, not as transients, but as their own sons and daughters, their own brothers and sisters. I'm hard-pressed to think of a better or more appropriate place to bring this entire group together. But today, it's also about fulfilling our obligation to remember, not simply as service members, but as Americans. Americans who enjoy the freedoms built upon the foundation of our fallen sacrifice. To be a Gold Star family member, it's a club none of you wanted to join. In a sense, every single day is your own personal Memorial Day. And as much as we wish we could undo the pain and grief of that day and those that followed, it is our obligation to ensure your loved ones are never forgotten, that they live on through the stories and memories that you share with us. And finally, our other obligation is ensuring our Gold Star families know you always have a home at MacDill. Maybe it's a service we can provide, an answer to a tough question, or just the comfort of driving through that front gate and feeling a little more connected to the one you lost. We hope you know that MacDill will welcome this event every year going forward, as long as you'll allow us to host, and that we're here to support our Gold Star families today and every day. It's the least we can do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Snelson. The strength of our nation has been built on the sacrifices made by the men and women who served and currently serve our armed forces. Today, we would like to not only honor their service and commitment, but the families that sacrificed as well. MacDill Air Force Base has put together a video tribute dedicated to the brave men and women we so dearly miss, along with their local Gold Star family members that have survived them. At this time, please direct your attention to the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce a man with a passion for veteran affairs, a Vietnam veteran himself, and Purple Heart recipient, Mr. Richard Hunt.
Good afternoon. I was asked to talk about my relationship with Gold Star families. We're going to take a couple of little bumps, go around a couple of corners. As a Marine, I'm still a Marine, inter-service rivalry has been a big deal since forever, and it always will be. Reality has changed how some of what happens occurs. It used to be that the Army and the Marines would do the majority of the combat. That doesn't exist anymore. It's equal opportunity war. The family of one of our fallen, her name is Elizabeth Jacobson. Does that name mean anything to anybody here? Okay, Air Force, listen up. There is an Air Force-wide Elizabeth Jacobson Award for excellence as air police. Elizabeth was on duty in a combat zone at a checkpoint when that checkpoint was hit hard. She went toe-to-toe with the bad guys and took out the majority of them. She lost her life in the battle. Based on the actions of that day, the Elizabeth Jacobson Award, United States Air Force. It's all the same anymore, equal opportunity. I've had the honor of meeting folks that served with her. I've had the honor of meeting family. I know many of the Gold Star family here in this audience. I look out and see many familiar faces. It's the worst of times. It's the best of times. The worst of times that you lost a very close family member. However, the best of times in that we have had an opportunity to come together, that these family members and our other servicemen and women will never, ever be forgotten. That's what motivates the memorial that's in the past. Keenan Nofke was very much involved in that. It's a private thing, as in there's no public funds that go into it. And there are a number of others that do that. My very best friend ever, Otto John Ostenfeld, died over 50 years ago. I will never, ever forget. One of the hardest things I ever did was go to see his family. He's from New Jersey. And he talked a little funny at the time, but that's okay, that was Otto. He was my brother. He will always be my brother. His family is my family. Looked at the program today, and it says, you are always a part of the MacDill military family. Never forgotten, sealed with a star. I think that's amazing. But we're going to take it one step further. You're part of the military family, and you will always be. Every single one of you is family. You will always be family. Our military forces are second to none anywhere in the world. Story that's absolute truth, and I defy anybody to take issue with that. That said, every single person that's ever been in the military, that's a blank check with my life. In my case, I'm fortunate to be here. Most of my body parts work pretty well. But my parents, on the day that I got hit, my parents were notified that I was killed in action. Another one of the guys that was with me, his parents were notified that he was wounded in action. The clerk made a mistake. It happens. 21 Marines died in the space of less than 10 minutes. One of the names got reversed, and there were a lot of wounded. So to fix that, the folks that the guy was wounded in action, his parents were notified, I'm really sorry to inform you, but he succumbed to his wounds. My parents got another one saying, oops, he's wounded and expected to be just fine. To this day, my mother will not talk about that. I've seen the telegrams. There are no words to express the loss that our Gold Star families have had. All we can do is mourn together. That makes it the best of times, because you are not alone. For MacDill to do this is huge. It's my understanding that when this event was planned, there was a call that went out for volunteers. And I also understand that many had to be turned away. The response was so huge. And that, in and of itself, is amazing. Sitting here looking at an explosive ordnance disposal, United States Navy. I'm alive because of a Navy corpsman. I saw in this thing about the MacDill Air Force Base history that F-4s were here at one time. I'm alive also because of an F-4. There is no plane ever that's been better than an F-4 Phantom, especially when it's carrying napalm and comes close aboard and stops everybody there that was on our side from being killed in action. And whoever the pilot was, crazy. The only reason he didn't land because he didn't put his wheels down. And he made 2 passes. And there are a number of Marines that are here today because of that pilot, also Navy. All branches of service, all brothers, all sisters, the family extended its Gold Star forever. Thank you for the honor of being here.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the commander of the 6th Communications Squadron and widow of the late Major Raymond Estelle II. In 2011, Major Estelle was killed in action during Operation Enduring Freedom in Kabul, Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to one of our beloved Gold Star wives, Lieutenant Colonel Nakiba Estelle.
I'm glad you said that because I didn't know if somebody was going to say that, so thank you, so I wouldn't have to. You know, I came in the room today and just feeling overwhelmed with all the people that are here, and then getting a chance to walk through that wall back there. And I saw Master Sergeant Tara Jacobs, who was killed alongside my husband back in 2011, and it just kind of brought some of the emotions home and kind of made me remember that they really never, the emotions never go away, and that's okay. And that's kind of a part of what I'm going to talk about today. But first, I want to say a couple of thank yous, because I've had good experiences and bad experiences along the way with leaders, and I feel very blessed that God sent me to CENTCOM first, and I was able to start my healing here, Tampa, of course, my parents here, and back again for the 3rd time under Colonel Snelson and Colonel Phillips. So I thank you for being the kind of leaders that we need today, and definitely the kind of leader that I needed and my family needed at this point in time in my journey. So thank you for that. So I hope in sharing a part of my story that it helps somebody out here today. Thank you to the FSS and Military Family Readiness Center, Ms. Geronimo's, who I talk to most of the time, Dr. Mays, who's also my sorority sister, and all the team and the hard work for pulling this together. And really my story is really for the Gold Star family members here. Thank you for being here today. And I really believe that things like this can act as a catalyst for us to meet and be around people who really know what it's like to walk the same journey. And it's a comfort for me to look out at all your faces, and hopefully I get a chance to meet a lot of you before this day ends, because I know exactly how you feel, and I know you know exactly how I feel or have felt at some point in time since losing your loved one. And I think that can be a very powerful thought and possibility for connection and also healing. So I hope we're able to get a chance to exchange names and numbers today before we leave. And then for myself, for far too long, I kind of kept to myself because I really didn't want to be a bother to anybody. I didn't want to be a burden to those who don't know about this journey. But then a couple of years ago, you know, I had enough kind of with all my negative experiences, and it kind of finally lit a spark. And I found that I had, you know, a voice. And it took a little bit of courage to publicly speak about some of these experiences. And I started noticing that when I started to share my story, others felt exactly like me in some kind of way, shape, or form. Or people wanted to know how they can help. I kind of get that question a lot. I don't know how to answer it, but I get that question a lot. So now I'm committed to using my voice, to seeing that Gold Star families are not forgotten, and listening to others' stories and drawing that parallels, and hopefully I can be, you know, a voice if you cannot have a voice until you get a voice of your own. And I'm trying to use that to help the Air Force to understand just a little bit of what we go through and what we need from them as a part of the Air Force family forever. The Air Force has committed to doing this, and I see Florida has, the city of Tampa has, but in terms of the Air Force, we started a Air Force Survivors working group to tackle these issues, and I'm glad to be a part of that and just started working on that as part of, as one of these survivor advisors. But don't get me wrong, I know I'm standing up here, I got this uniform on, military, you know, my journey hasn't been super easy and it hasn't been pretty. Ever since losing my husband, you know, that it's been a pain like I have never experienced before, not even the physical pain, which followed my C-section when I had our son just 6 weeks prior to him being killed. And then there's that feeling of silence as the shock and numbness kind of took over. But I really didn't realize all that was happening until about 3 years later. And some of those memories are kind of blacked out, and some of them come to me, you know, slowly as time goes by. But I will say it did kind of allow me to kind of go on and kind of press through. Because I told myself I had 3 missions in life: take care of my kids, take care of, raise a legacy, and then take care of myself. And today, you know, they're kind of still the same, but I do find myself wondering, you know, how has darkness manifested itself in our lives as a result of losing my husband and them losing their father? And am I doing enough to allow the light to prevail? And maybe you ask yourself this or something similar. And if so, that's okay. I've learned that no one has perfect days. We all have something that, you know, we're kind of dealing with. And I've learned to accept that, you know, we've got these ups and we've got these downs. And I did get mental health assistance along the way, because I told the guy, look, I'm not crazy, I don't think I'm crazy, so I just want you to tell me I'm not crazy so I can go on. But then I realized, okay, I really do need to kind of deal with these emotions because I have those 2 kids over there, and I don't want them to be crazy, right? So I'm constantly reminding myself of these little positive things, and that kind of helps. So for example, you know, Ray and I were in the same squadron here as lieutenants, the awesome 6th Comm Squadron, woo. And we were married by Chaplain Bridgman at the chapel, you know, around the corner. And we spent that first year making memories on base and in the Tampa Bay area. And part of my voice was kind of strengthened coming back here and facing those memories, but really using them as a source of comfort. So now, as he said, I'm the 6th Comm Squadron Commander, and I sit in a building named Estelle Hall. And I find myself telling the building's story, which is my own story, a few times a year. And that's made me kind of face some emotions that, you know, I didn't really want to face, and I kind of keep under wraps. And although it makes me uncomfortable in telling the story, I find that there's sometimes I find that I get through it and my heart rate has not spiked up too much. So again, 1 step, and that's okay. And every so often I get asked, how do we do this? like how do we keep going on, and how do we get up every day and do what we do? And the truth is, I'm actually really terrible at it, and I really just progressed to day by day now. And I remember when it was minute by minute, and then it was hour by hour. And I attribute all those things to my faith, my family, and friends, and having fun. And I've used my faith in God to get me here, and I'll continue to do so in the future. My family and friends have been a source of strength, which I really didn't know that I needed at the time. And my parents are here today, and they've been here since I was conceived, but they've helped me get my life back on track, and they helped me out, on a lot of days. My mom's, it's my second command in a row. My mom's had to come up. I've had to call her and say, I need you to come here right now. And she had to stay for 2 months to help me through and help the family through a lot of stuff. But with their help, that's kind of allowed us to continue serving our great nation. So I just want to say I love you both, and thank you, Mommy and Daddy, for that. And of course, and then of course we have our precious babies. It's been a blessing to see the fresh perspectives through our kids' eyes, but it's also bittersweet because I know that Ray's missing all of the fun stuff and those nice calls from the vice principal. So all those pains that go, along with seeing them grow up. He's cut this year. But they're just awesome kids, and they're a great mix of the both of us. And then fun. During our resiliency pause, the chaplain mentioned that you need to have like a couple of friends where you can kind of open up and talk about everything and just kind of be yourself, and they're not going to judge you. So I've been fortunate enough to have some awesome sorority sisters, Dr. Mays again is one of them, where I've been able to just kind of talk to them at different times, and there's no judgment zone there. And then I have one friend in particular who wasn't able to be here, who's also a sorority sister, and she's Army, full team there, Army Lieutenant Colonel retired, who's kind of helped me along the way in a lot of things, but she's been really instrumental in getting me to have fun and learn how to kind of take time out to find out who I am now as an only parent and single. And I don't really like to say this out loud, but it's kind of difficult to just know that it's okay to enjoy life without my husband, and know that it's okay. So I hope that this message of hope works for somebody out there. It begins small, but I promise you that it does get better if you allow it to. I encourage my Gold Star family to not leave here today without connecting with somebody new who's not sitting beside you right now, and just be that light in the dark for someone. Or if you're on the other side, just allow somebody like me or somebody that you're sitting beside to be that light out of the darkness for you. And then I just have one final thing. Today is my daughter's 17th birthday. She's delighted. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Estelle. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Miss Annette Kirk, President of American Gold Star Mothers in Florida and Puerto Rico. Miss Kirk's son, Private First Class Paul Kazupe II, was killed in action on August 8, 2010 during Operation Enduring Freedom in Akhtar Mohammed Khan, Afghanistan.
hard to follow that too. I'm going to make this very, very brief. I was told 2 minutes or less by General Gross. You all know who I'm talking about. I'm grateful to be here today as Department of Florida Puerto Rico President of American Gold Star Mothers Incorporated, and an Army veteran as well. In 1918, the founder of American Gold Star Mothers, Grace Siebold, organized a group of Gold Star mothers with the purpose of not only comforting one another, but giving care to hospitalized veterans in government hospitals far from home. The organization was named after the Gold Star mothers that families hung in their windows. The Gold Star, the banner, that families hung in their windows in honor of their fallen hero. 10 years later, Grace met with 25 other Gold Star mothers in Washington, D.C. to establish a national service organization, and the rest is history. On behalf of the Department of Florida and Puerto Rico, AGSM, and of all the Gold Star families that are here today, I would like to acknowledge a few people for their hard work and dedication. Ms. Antoinetta Geronimo, and Master Sergeant Craig Wayman. Thank you for that beautiful work that you did today for all of us. And of course, I'm going to give her so many ranks. Our First Sergeant, our Command Sergeant Major General Gold Star Mother, Tony Gross. We all know that she assisted in this, gathering all of us from the Gold Star community together today. I would also like to express our deep felt gratitude to Colonel Stevens Nelson for hosting today's event. Sir, would you please come forward? I have a few things for you. And I have this painting, and this is a thank you for honoring and remembering our fallen sons and daughters. This is artwork entitled Some Gave All, and this is from Gold Star Father Craig Gross. Long-standing military tradition, I have one of our challenge coins from American Gold Star Mothers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Annette. Please welcome Lieutenant Colonel Retired Steve Murray, the Director of Communications and External Affairs, Florida Department of Veterans Affairs.
I'd like to start off by thanking the anonymous protocol officer for putting me at the end of the program. Ooh, my goodness. I too have been adopted by General Gross. And I'm a better person for it. Thank you, Tony and Craig, and you've been marvelous. I can't imagine any place I'd rather be today than here. I am reminded of something years ago. They gave me a little 59-cent bracelet, which through the years has been worn by color and exposure to everything, and it simply says support Gold Star families. And I have worn that until it's turned green and everything. I'm gonna have to get a replacement bracelet here soon, but I wear that as a badge of honor, as I shared with Richard Hunt, a member of the Florida Veterans Hall of Fame, distinguished veteran himself. It's our duty to be here, and I can't imagine where else we would rather be. And I'm so honored to be in the presence of Gold Star families today. Could I ask Annette to rejoin me here at the podium? I have the distinct honor and privilege of representing Governor Ron DeSantis and First Lady Casey DeSantis today in presenting the Gold Star Family Day in Florida proclamation. And while I won't read it line for line, basically it says two words: never forget, and we never will.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank all of the Gold Star families in attendance, along with the wonderful, dedicated members that made this event possible. A special thanks to the 6th Air Mobility Wing Honor Guard, Mr. Gavin Della Valle, Chaplain Dobbs, Mr. Keenan Noki, Master Sergeants Medina and Wayman, Ms. Tony Geronimo, Dr. Dora Mays, and the Military and Family Readiness Center staff. Additional appreciation is extended to Ms. General Tony Gross, the MacDill Chiefs Group, MacDill Top 3, CENTCOM Top 3, and the Blue Star Mothers of Greater Tampa Bay for providing funding and sponsoring this momentous event. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for making this a memorable occasion and for being part of today's observance. Please join us for refreshments and take time to view the Memorial Wall of Florida's Fallen, displayed in the back of the room by Mr. Keenan Noki.